Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through the Sydney Swans versus Richmond game, in a game that I tipped against the Swans. Sadly, I just knew that this was probably going to happen. A lot of people thought the Swans would win for some reason, but yeah, the Swans just got belted in the first 5 minutes of this game. After 5 minutes, you knew that the game was over. I think it was 18-0 after about 5 minutes. 3 goals quickly for Richmond. I think Katie Brennan had 3 in the first quarter or something like that, and then she did nothing after that. But yeah, she was outstanding. Laura Gardner was outstanding, but other than that, Monconti struggled, which was a little bit surprising. She got tagged as well, which doesn't help, but yeah, she struggled a little bit, as well as having low time on ground, because the game was dead and buried, because the Swans have no physicality in their side. Pretty much they're all just runners on the outside, and there's no one, especially when you lose your ruckman and your best mid-forward connection, as well as some other your best 2 mid-forward connections, I would say. Yeah, you just lose all drive, and it really just showed in the game. But anyway, let's just jump into it here, quickly go through it. Gardner, 29, she started in the last quarter, had 108 in the end. I just don't know if she can hit the heights now, especially without a proper ruckman. And Moffat's not going to be fit or firing 100% for the rest of the year, so I don't know if she'll be able to necessarily score really well. A 108 from her, yeah, she did really well, but I just don't know if she has those 130s, 140s in her when she's not getting first access to it. You can just see here, hit outs 43 to 26. And yeah, just not there. McAvoy really started in the last quarter. Outside of that, you can see here she was really struggling, and then 21-22 in the last little bit. I would like to see how she was positioned in the last little bit, as that definitely did make it better. I think they tried to play a little bit of kick-to-kick in the last quarter. You'll see with the likes of Brennan Tarrant, as well as, I mean, Ella Head's had a stinker of a game in general, but they did try and play a little bit of kick-to-kick in the last quarter, I think, for the sake of, and that's why McAvoy's stats are a little bit better in the second half. Let me just check how many marks she had. I think she had 3 or 2 in the last quarter. And yeah, it was just generally a really bad game, and I did sneak out for half the game to watch, to do like voting, etc. as well, just because there was, but as you see, McAvoy here in the last quarter, 6 touches, 2 marks. I'm reading off the off my phone, and then in the third quarter, she had 1 mark in there as well. She had 2 marks in the first half there, which is quite surprising given her low scoring. Hurley 17-5, she just didn't get it going. Privatelli 57. Boulas here with 10-6, 53. I don't know why she's in the side. I think they should be just getting those young-blooded Montana Ham in there full time. Just get her in there, get her through, because she's going to be one for the next year, because you're not going to compete this year. 1 and 2 have the tough games upcoming. Sydney are not going to compete for the rest of this season in the women's. I just don't see it possible, given that they've still got to play. They got GWS and Western Bulldogs next week, so they could go 3-3. There is a realistic chance that they're 3-3. Then they head to Essendon, which will be a tough game in itself. But then they've got Geelong, North Melbourne. The Suns are a tough game. They've got Brisbane and they've got West Coast. So the season isn't over, but the best that they can realistically hope for, given that they've got 2 losses already, and you can pretty much pencil in the Kangaroos and Brisbane as losses. So the best that they can hope for is 7-4, which isn't actually that bad now thinking about it. But they've got Gold Coast, who I think will improve by then. They've got Geelong, who might have already Georgie Prasparkas fit and firing by then. And they've also got Essendon, who by then, Bonnie Toogood probably won't be back, but by then she could be. So then they had those tough games, and that already flips it to 5-6, and 5-6 you're not making finals. So yeah, the season is pretty much cooked, especially if they lose one of these next 2. If they lose one of the games to Western Bulldogs or to GWS, you can pretty much hang it up. So yeah, their season's pretty much over, and by then, once you do that, then you might as well just put Montana Ham, Holly Cooper and stuff like that on the field, and really just get time into them. Giselle Davies, lead ruck, 40, not good enough to be relevant. Holly Cooper, 39, I think she will be relevant. I think if we just go here, Cooper, you see she's going to go up. With a 39, she's probably going to go up plus 16. She'll probably go up pretty much 14, so pretty much gapping that. So 36, probably 45k, give or take. And as a mid, she's playing as a forward though, so I wouldn't jump on her. But she may, given that there's double players in there next week. So I wouldn't be jumping on her, but yeah, she definitely did start well. Kennedy, Lachlan, Wheeland, Collier, Grundon, Hasselherger, or Hassiger, I think. Szigeti, 22, she was really, really poor. In general, really, really poor, especially the missed handball to Laura Gardner and then proceeding to look at Gardner, not give the handball, and then kick to a 2-on-1 in Richmond's advantage in the forward 50 when you're 40 out from goal is just really, really poor. And the fact that she's playing 55% time on ground as a fourth midfielder really doesn't give rest to the actual on-ballers of Gardner, Montana Ham, Hurley. Kennedy wasn't on ball this week. So yeah, I'm just really shocked to see these ones line up in general, how they played. It was really dumb, to be honest with you, as simple as that. Szigeti, Broadson as well really struggled. Ella Heads being on there, at one point being on Brennan, and at one point being on, who else was she on? She was on Greiser at one point. I was just like, you have Alice Mitchell, and then also the other better overhead marker in Brie Tarrant, so why not put those two on them? I know that that Tarrant is like 2-3 centimeters shorter than Ella Heads, but Ella Heads is like Nick Blakey. Simple as that. She shouldn't be playing on a tall. She should be playing on a medium so that she can use her really good kicking skills. But they're just putting her on a tall and she's just getting outmarked in the air because she's not as good in the air as compared to the likes of Tarrant, who is the best interceptor, I would say, almost in the league. And you've got Alice Mitchell, who's 183 centimeters, who's a good 3 inches taller than Heads. O'Sullivan 20, and then Hamilton 16. Then you have the Richmond side, and if you actually look at it, you'll see here they just sort of decided not to bother. They all just sort of chipped in. They all had pretty low time on grounds. If you actually look at it, a pretty even stint here. If you look at Conti here, for instance, let me just show you Conti. You'll see that, look at that. They just were just like, you don't even have to bother playing. Like, the game's dead and buried. So I'm not too worried about Mon Conti just because she didn't bother playing. If you look at Kelly here, I think you may see that she played roughly about the same. Who else is a big time? Let's look at Mackenzie here. Let's look at her time on ground. About the same, give or take. So it was just, they just decided, let's look at Dempsey and Dempsey here. Let's look at Dempsey here. I just want to see. I'm trying to figure out because Dempsey, a little bit low time on ground as well. So you'll see here, just a lot of their girls just decided, I can't be bothered to play. And they really they spread out the time on the bench here because the game was dead and buried because of how bad the first quarter was. It was 31-1 at quarter time and the game was dead. There was no way I saw really the Swans kicking 5 goals in the rest of the game with the way that they were playing with no mid-forward connection. Mackenzie 84, Conti 75. She's really struggled, but I mean she's come up against sides that have tagged her, which was known at the time. And that's probably the big thing is just you really want a tackler in the game in the AFLW. You really want those big-bodied midfielders, and so yeah, that's why Marinoff and Rowbottom are so valued. And probably we should have gone Hatchard at that point, or Ali Anderson was sort of that. She was in a better side, so as well as some players departing, so she probably would have been the better option. Dempsey. Yeah, so Conti 75, Dempsey. Sheeran 66 came back pretty strong, but I don't think she was up there absolutely. Lynch 62, Egan 61, Seymour 56, Yasir 51, Dalloway 51, Grazer 49, Ford 48. As you can just see, dominance across the board. And they even had Bacon with an 8. So yeah, just not really fancy relevant down the bottom here. And yeah, Richmond just absolutely dominated this game. Swans played one of their worst games I've ever seen. At least their worst game in, I would say, 14 months now. Or, probably 16, 18 months since the season that they went 0-10 in. This season could be similar. I still think that they get 3 or 4 wins, most likely. But I just don't see them winning teams outside of West Coast, Western Bulldogs, and GWS. I don't see them really winning another game outside of that, and that will get them to 4 wins. I do think that they lose to, I think they lose to Essendon. I think they lose to Cats. I think they lose to the Suns. And I don't see them having a hope in hell against the 2 grand final teams from last year. But anyway, that is the video there. If you did enjoy this recap, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.